Today we're taking a look at the Nunchaku, or the Nunchucks, the Nunchucks. In Kali, this would be in the flexible weapon category, which is basically just a stick. It's just a Kali stick, but with a chain in the middle, right? So that's what makes it a flexible weapon. Now the mechanics that we learn with the stick is the exact same mechanics that we're going to transfer over to the Nunchucks. Okay, so let's take a look at some of the basic movements. I'll even do a little bit of a comparison, and then what I want to do is make sure we're understanding that these movements, that these nunchucks right here, can be used to actually strike with and hit with. So then we'll go ahead and take it over to Bob, and we'll hit Bob a little bit. All right, so first things first, before we get moving with the chucks, we have to understand how to grip the chucks, and we're going to grip it about from the middle of the chuck towards the chain. Okay, we don't want to grip it so far down right here because you can't control it as good. All right, plus there's other techniques and close quarter techniques and all that stuff. Okay, but we want to make sure we're either in the middle or closer to the chain. So if we take the stick right here, and you're going to notice that here at Kali Center we like to grip it about 1 fist length up the stick. Now obviously it's going to depend on how long your chucks are, if you're using a 12-inch pair or a 14-inch pair, but being that this is a 12-inch pair, roughly, if I'm roughly a fist length up, I'm going to be roughly around the middle of the chuck right there. So the principle transfers exactly the same way if it was the stick or the nunchucks right here. Okay, so the first technique that I want to kind of get you started with, I like beginning everybody with this because you're learning the natural break positions of the body and you're working on one plane, which is the horizontal strikes. We're going to start this off in our chamber position just like we would with a stick. And we're going to strike a horizontal and then a horizontal, just like this. And we're just going to go back and forth like this. Don't worry about trying to put in power and speed in the beginning. Just get used to the chucks moving on the horizontal plane right here. Now, you're going to see that I can either come under the left arm like this, or I can go on top of the left arm like this. Okay? So I can come under my left arm on the horizontals, or I can come on top of the left arm in those horizontals. And you're going to see that the back is acting as my natural break for the other chuck, what we call the free chuck or the hitting chuck. All right, and here we are. Just work these horizontals a little bit, just like that. Okay, now if we have the stick, it's the exact same movements, right? So I can strike my horizontals just like this, either going under or going on top. Okay, and you're going to see that we have those chamber positions, that chamber position, right? Exactly the same motions, okay? So sometimes people are like, man, you can't have your hand back in these chamber positions when you're fighting with a stick or fighting with a sword, okay? You can't have it dangling out here because the skill doesn't transfer to other weapons. You're not going to want this thing dangling out here like this, right? You got to keep it in motion, okay? But you're not going to sit there and want to twirl your hand like this, right? In a real fight, you have to be able to pull that thing back so that way you can deliver more power again. Same exact skill set that we learned on the stick or on the bolo, and we transfer it to the nunchucks. Once we have the horizontal strikes down, let's go and take a look at the diagonal strikes now. On the diagonal strikes, we're going to start off right here. You can start off with the left hand at the plexus, or you can start off in this nice chamber position right here on the chucks. Okay, and I just want you to strike your number 1 just like that at first. Okay, just strike your number 1. Okay, downward diagonal number 1. Okay, boom. Get that. Let the chuck get used to coming around, and again using your back as that break position. Boom, boom. Look, you can even strike it back up on that angle 4, right there if you want to. Boom, boom, right there. Okay, right there. Okay, then I want you to start this off on your number 2 position, which is going to be right here, and strike your 2, and then just bring it across on the horizontal for now. Strike your 2 and bring it across. Strike your 2 and bring it across. Okay? Right there. Right there. Right there. Okay? Now we can go ahead and put them together. And the reason I have you doing them like that is because you're going to see the classical nunchucks a lot where you're working your downward figure eight like this. There's nothing wrong with this. This is totally valid. But you're gonna see that the wrist position is not always the best for striking a target. And I'm gonna show you this on Bob in a little bit. So make sure you watch this video all the way through. Okay, but the forehand is looking pretty decent. But the backhand, right, sometimes you're gonna hit with the back edge of the weapon, but sometimes you wanna hit with the main edge of the weapon, right? So it's gonna change here. The technique's gonna be a little bit different for depending on how you wanna make impact with it, with the nunchucks. All right, so you can practice this just to kind of get the motion down and get used to the figure eight. Definitely a good practice. But then, instead of my hand coming over like this, like you commonly see, you want to keep your hand forward. All right, striking forward on that backhand strike instead of the hand being in a palm up position as if you're striking with the back of the weapon. Let me show you this with a stick and then also with a training bolo. So again, a lot of times on the nunchucks, if we take the skill that is very commonly seen, right, you're gonna see this action. Which again, it's not bad. Like hitting someone with the back of the stick is a very valid shot, okay? But if you wanna have a faster recovery shot, maybe you want to get multiple strikes off, you wanna hit them with the structure integrity with the hand here, not necessarily here, right? Boom, boom, that's how you want to strike them. If we switch this out to the bolo, same thing. Okay, I could come back around and hit with the back edge of the weapon, or I can come back around and hit with the main edge of the weapon. Okay, so in the nunchucks, we want to make sure that we're having control in the same thing, right? I could come around and hit with the back edge of the weapon, or I want to come around and then hit with that main side of the weapon, right? Keeping that wrist striking forward. Okay, so all that energy is going forward, forward and forward. All right, you're going to be able to start striking with a little bit more power than if you're coming around with the back. Right? There's going to be a little bit more force on keeping that chuck, that free chuck, keep that velocity and everything moving forward. So get used to that. Do a little bit of kind of more like that traditional figure eight that we see in nunchucks, and then switch that hand over on that backhand side. See, and then you can kind of start coming over with more power and all that. So work that horizontal right here, just like this. All right, and then we're gonna come out like this and come up. That's gonna be your first basic transition, and then work that figure eight. Okay, you can work that more traditional type of method, or you can work more of that combat method. All right, what are you gonna hit them with? And then tuck it, and then there you go. You can also practice all of this on your left hand, which is a good idea. Okay, there, and then again, work that traditional, kind of more traditional manner with that palm coming up on the backhand, or more of that striking manner right there. I got Mr. Bob right here. Let's take a look at making some contact with the nunchucks on an actual target, working some impact training. Let's go ahead and start off with our horizontal strikes. The thing about nunchucks, when you're fighting with nunchucks, this is a weapon that needs a lot of confidence because it is a flexible weapon, okay? And if you're kind of doing it, not so confidently, right, you're gonna get this reverb and it's gonna come back and it's gonna bite you. Okay, so you wanna make sure you're striking with confidence and with follow through. Boom, right there, right there, right there. All right, you can strike to the body. All right, you can strike to the head. Just like that. Then you have the downward figure eights. Okay, let's take a look at the traditional manner. I can strike like this and then come back and strike like this with my hand in the palm up position. However, you're gonna see that even when you're striking all the way through, a lot of times, because of the structure of the hand, this thing comes back and wants to bite you. Okay? You can do that with the stick, strike and then strike like this, but you're gonna, even with the stick, you're gonna feel that little bit of force coming back in and curling in because of the weaker wrist position. So with the nunchucks, we want to make sure we have good, strong wrist position. So train this with the stick, striking forward and striking forward just like that. Or if you had the training bolo, you don't want to come over, and sometimes you strike with the back, but not all the time. You're going to see how that energy kind of wants to throw that blade back towards you. Otherwise, you're going to strike it forward like this and cut, right? And you maintain that structural integrity on the wrist. Same thing with the nunchucks here. Okay, so I'm going to strike my 1, and then I'm going to come around and strike my 2 just like that. 1, 2 right there. 1 and 2 right there. So 1 and 2. 1 and 2. 1 and 2. 1 and 2. Now I don't have to worry about my nunchucks, you know, collapsing at the chain with my palm in that up position, that more kind of classical, traditional figure 8 position, and coming back and biting my hand. If you're not feeling confident striking with your nunchucks, make sure to start your impact training with a foam pair of nunchucks. So that way, if it comes back at you, something, you make a mistake, then obviously you're getting hit with a foam pair instead of, you know, a wood pair or a metal pair or something like that. Right, take your time with this stuff. Start slow. I know this isn't the fancy stuff. You know, we're not sitting there doing all the fun little twirls and all the switches and all that, right? I want to give you a different look at the nunchucks, a little more practical look, at least in the eyes of a Kali practitioner. I love the nunchucks. I think they're super, super cool, and I love doing all the, you know, all the switch training and everything like that, you know, and all the flashy stuff. That's a lot of fun, but at the end of the day, how is this weapon, how is this tool used in a more functional setting, right? You know, do we want to come back with these more kind of classical style figure 8s, or do we need to change the manipulation a little bit when it comes into that functional striking with the tool? Pa! Boom, boom, boom. Right there. Boom, boom. Ba, ba. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up, and I look forward to your comments down below. Share this with your friends, and make sure to subscribe to the channel and get outside, let nature be your Kali dojo, and go chuck it up.